The sun is literally creeping up right now, but our last project was sent in by Isabella.malabag. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. She sent over this little trinket dish that has a moon inside of it, and I believe that this is actually from Urban Outfitters as well. And I recreated this, and I think it turned out so cute. It's also super simple and very affordable, so I feel like this is a project you can make for like your friends for a birthday party or Christmas time. Literally only need paint and clay, and you are good to go. So let me share with you how I created this. For our last project, I'm starting off with a ball of clay, and I'm just going to be warming this up in my hands. This is the Sculpey white polymer clay, if you are curious, and I actually didn't have a rolling pin, so I just used this canister from my kitchen to roll it out, and I rolled this clay out to about a 1/4 inch thick. You're gonna wanna have it have a little bit of thickness to it, so don't roll it too thin. And I placed this bowl over the top of it, and I used my X-Acto knife to cut around the outside. I highly suggest this rather than pressing the bowl on top and using it kind of as a cookie cutter, because this is going to keep the edge of your plate that you're creating super flat. So as you can see, when you pull this off, the edge of the actual clay is nice and thick, and it's not condensed and pressed in. So I'm using this over the top of the lid of the same exact canister that I used to roll it out with, kind of forming it into a little bit of a dish shape and setting this aside so we can work on our next one. So I'm rolling out another 1/4 inch thick piece of clay as well, same exact thickness as our prior one, and cutting out the same exact circle as prior. But of course we want to make this into a moon shape, so I freehanded a moon shape on here. You can actually print one out or hand draw one prior, whatever you want to do. I just freehanded it though. I thought this looked pretty good, but I did go in and cut off a little bit of excess. And then once you have that cut out, all I did was I actually squeezed the edges into the center to kind of make it a little bit more of a dish shape, if that makes sense. So it had a little bit of a lip on the edges. That way it wasn't super flat. It had a little bit of dimension to it. Set those on top of a baking sheet and just baked these in the oven for about 20 minutes. Just make sure to follow the directions on the clay package, and then once they are out of the oven, let them cool for about an hour, and then we can move on to painting them. But this is what it ended up looking like. They are super cute. I'm obsessed with them. So how I painted these was I actually used a majority of white paint, and then I added just a little bit of tan paint in there as well. I mixed those together, and I just wanted a super, super light, almost bone tan color. And it literally, when I paint this on, it almost looks exactly like the clay. Like you cannot even see, but once it dries, it actually turns a little tiny bit darker than it currently is, which I love the ended up color. So as you can see, there's a tiny shift in color from the original clay, but it's nothing too crazy. So I added a coat of this onto both the dish and the moon shape. Then I went in with the copper spray paint I used in the last project and sprayed a little bit in the lid. That way I could use it as a splatter. So I used a stippling brush and just soaked up a lot of that paint. And then what I'm gonna do is just flick it on to the top to create a speckled look, which I think looks really nice with like ceramic pottery. So I sprayed that on there, gave it a little bit of a speckled look, and just let that dry. And then we're gonna move on to the actual edge, which was primarily a lot of coral with a little bit of this burgundy color mixed into it. But you can totally opt for whatever you want. I just wanted to do something similar to the inspo photo and added a little bit of white just to kind of lighten that color a bit. And then I went in and very tediously painted the edge. And this is why we X-Acto knifed it, guys. So as you can see, this edge is nice and flat, and it definitely allows us to add a nice border on there. If we were to press it with the bowl, it would have no edge to it. So this is why we X-Acto knifed it to start. And just go around, paint that in. This was actually kind of fun. I actually liked doing this. Go all the way around. And then once you're done with the actual edge of the tray, we're gonna add some gloss glaze. This is from Sculpey as well. Just squirt a little bit on top of each of your trays and give it a nice even coat of the gloss glaze. This is just gonna make sure that it's protected and sealed, and it's also gonna give it kind of like a finished ceramic look. Do it on all the edges as well, and I also suggest doing it on the underside. Also add it to the moon shape, let this dry, and you are done.